What's up YouTube, how you doing? This is Mr. Tybox123 and in this video I'm going to be doing a comparison of the build quality and the design between the HTC One X and the Samsung Galaxy S3. So like I said guys, I'm going to be doing a comparison between these two phones in regards to the design aspect and also the build quality. Now let's get one thing straight before we start. This is not going to be a one is better than the other or a true versus video, because these two phones are so evenly matched in every part of their entire existence that it really would be ridiculous to do a video where I'm going to say this one is better than the other. Now I'm going to prefer one of these phones to the other, and so are you, and that's the reason for making these videos. The most often frequent question that I get asked at the moment is, should I get the HTC One X or should I get the Samsung Galaxy S3? And a lot of people are weighing up the difference between the two. So what we're trying to do here is not say this one's better than this one, it's to say these are the subtle differences, and whichever one of those differences suits you best, that's going to be the one you can go for. So by the time we finish with this series of videos, hopefully you can decide between the two phones and choose which one is best for you. Because like I say, not one of them is better than the other as far as I'm concerned. One of them definitely suits me more, but there's definitely not a clear winner in terms of which one is best. So let's dive straight into this and talk about the build quality differences between these two phones. Now most of you would kind of expect me to immediately say, yes, definitely, the HTC One X, much better build quality than the Samsung Galaxy S3. If this was a year ago and we were comparing a previous HTC to the Samsung Galaxy S2, I would tend to agree with you, and it would be a very simple decision as to what one's got the better build quality. However, when you're actually comparing this new Samsung Galaxy S3, they really have kind of bucked their ideas up in terms of build quality of the phone. Everything about it is a lot better build quality, a lot more nicely made and a lot better finished. And although the S3 still has that kind of very plasticky back cover, they really have put a lot of effort into the finish of that and also the way it fits around the phone as well. When you look at the back cover once it's completely fitted, you can see that the gap is exactly the same all the way around the exterior of the phone. There's no gaps anywhere that are bigger than others, and that to me is excellent finishing. They've also put a lot of effort into this kind of metallic finish that goes all the way around. It looks extremely nice, and as far as I've been able to tell so far, actually has a very good build quality about it. The buttons as well on the sides in terms of the standby button and also the volume buttons have got a very nice feel to them. The only thing for me that lets the phone down in terms of build quality on the S3 is the home button. I find it lacks a bit of responsiveness, and it's also not particularly the best shape that you could ever hope for. But other than that, the S3 really genuinely does have fantastic build quality and a great finish. Now in regards to the HTC One X, HTC are renowned for producing absolutely fantastic build quality phones, and the One X hasn't let it down in any way whatsoever moving forward into this new release of the phone that they've brought out. The One X has got a fantastic build quality. You can feel it the minute you pick it up. It's got a great finish to it, and it really does feel like a nicely finished unit, as you would expect from HTC. But in terms of the differences between the build quality between the two, if I absolutely had to pick one over the other in terms of which one's got the build quality, then I would say obviously that the One X has got the slightly better build quality, and that the S3 is just a little bit more plasticky than the HTC One X. But don't think that that's like a score out of 10, maybe a 10 to 5 or something like that, because it would be a very close call, and it would really come down to something like a 10 to 9. Very close in terms of the build quality on this latest S3 and the latest HTC. Now let's talk about the actual design of the two phones. There's a couple of things that actually stand out between these two in terms of the design that I've noticed so far when using them. The first thing for me is the actual position of the standby button. On the HTC One X, we've got it here on the top. On the S3, we've got it on the side. Now for me, because these phones are so large, if you want to use it one-handed, I think it's a much better design to have that standby button on the side of the phone instead of having to somehow reach around and press it on the top. That's one of the first things to point out. Now secondly is the actual position of the charging point, the micro USB slot on the S3. It's right on the bottom of the phone, which means if you get a dock, you can put it straight in the dock and it's going to be in portrait mode and it's going to match up with the layout of the icons. On the HTC One X, it's actually on the side of the phone, and all of the docks that I've seen so far sit in portrait mode, meaning that obviously when you turn the phone itself on, all the icons are going to be sitting the wrong way round. Now there is a docking point on the back of the phone here, these dots, and I'm not sure if they're going to bring something out which might enable that to be sat in portrait in terms of a dock, but as it stands at the moment that doesn't exist, and the only ones I've seen are where it sits in landscape, and I would much rather be able to dock my phone in a portrait mode because that's the way that the icons are facing. So let's move on. One of the next design aspects of the phone is the actual buttons themselves. On the HTC One X, we've got soft buttons. We've got 3 soft buttons here. On the S3, we've got a hard button for the home button, and then we've also got these 2 soft buttons on either side. Now, originally I would have always said that I prefer a physical home button, but I've got to say, having used the HTC One X for quite a long time now, the responsiveness of these soft buttons has been absolutely superb, and I personally prefer the 3 soft buttons to this particular hard button that they've got on the S3. But that won't be the same for everyone, and like I said, this really does come down to individual opinion as to which one you would actually prefer. I'm just merely pointing out the differences between the two. Now, one of the final things is the actual camera. On the back of the HTC One X, although it doesn't actually rub along the surface when you put the phone down, only the very bottom of that kind of casing does, I still think that's a relatively bad design to actually have that protruding so much out of the back of the phone. On the on the S3, it does still protrude very slightly, but nowhere near as much, and it definitely does not touch the surface when you put the phone down. So I think that, again, that's a better design aspect there from the S3. But anyway guys, that's about it when talking about the differences between the build quality and also the design of these 2 phones. Like I say, I hope this is kind of going some way towards letting you guys be knowledgeable when you're actually choosing between these 2 phones. There is not a clear winner between the 2. It literally comes down to opinion, and I'm just trying to help you make a educated decision when you actually go out and buy one of these 2 phones. Anyway guys, thanks very much for watching. Please do hit that like button, and I will see you all in the next video. See ya.